Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Mod Matt He, and this week we have an opportunity to interview one of our J-mods. And with us today on the sofa we have...
Mod Raven. Hello.
Who some of you have requested. In fact, quite a lot of you have requested we interview.
Apparently so.
So, Mod Raven exposed.
Maybe not that, but okay.
So we have some very serious questions from our players.
Yeah, I saw some of them on Twitter. Deeply serious.
And some very serious questions from some of our J-mods.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Yes, J-mods have asked questions.
Oh, right, here we go then.
And so in order to set the tone, the first question I'm going to ask you is from the ex-mod Jane.
Oh dear, okay.
Marmite.
Marmite.
Love it or hate it?
Ooh, it depends how you use it, I think, really. I'm more of a Bovril fan than a Marmite fan.
Right.
There's subtle taste differences. But I only have Bovril on toast, so Marmite on toast is okay. It isn't something that I would necessarily...
You're not a love it or hate it person.
I'm not. It's situationally enjoyable.
See, whereas I think it is utter evil.
Ah.
And should be avoided at all costs.
Well, okay then. You'll upset Mod Doctor with that. He's a big Marmite fan.
I know, but we have a question from Mod Doctor later. So, how did you choose your mod name, Raven?
Oh.
Ask Squishy KJ.
The name actually came about because there were a bunch of us that joined Jagex at the same time. Mod Crow got there first.
Yes.
So when choosing mod names, quite often people will choose their first name, but our first name's relatively common.
Yes.
So we chose a different one.
Yeah.
And he chose Crow, which made sense at the time.
Yep.
And so me and Mod Sparrow, who's also heading down at the same time, we basically just went, so there's a bird theme going now.
Okay.
And of course, ravens are better than crows. And I had to be better than Mod Crow because I am better than Mod Crow in every way. And so I chose Raven. And Mod Sparrow chose Sparrow, and then that's just, we chose them all together. There was going to be another of our friends who was trying for the job at the same time, but he was not successful. He was going to be Mod Magpie, I think.
Okay. So your brother, your twin brother...
Indeed.
May reoccur during this podcast.
I assumed he would. I saw some of his tweets.
He asked some questions himself, but Alter asked, how has your twin brother helped influence your life at Jagex?
He's been a difficult obstacle to overcome all along the way, I think. An eternal thorn in my side. It's difficult, trying to keep him from not looking like a complete fool, and I fail a lot at that because he's a complete fool. I'm just trying to think of more insults for my brother here, really.
It's not true. He's really nice.
I mean...
Sorry, he's truly evil, clearly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mod Crow and I, obviously being identical twins, we've grown up together, so we share a lot of similar interests and humour, as players have probably noticed.
Yes.
Particularly with the whole, I'm more evil than you are kind of thing. So that's kind of helped to shape the Mod Raven character, I suppose, as it were.
Okay. DPS Only asks, can we just have 15 minutes of Mod Raven laughing maniacally?
I'm not sure about 15 minutes, but I can do some laughter. Shall I do a few evil laughs?
An evil laugh, I think. A good evil laugh.
Okay, let's try. I mean, there's reasonably good acoustics in this room, let's go. There you go.
You almost fell backwards off the sofa.
I did, because you have to do the arm movements, and
it
has to be that kind of... I was trying to explain this to people at RuneFest. You have to really go into it. It's not just a sound is an evil laugh. It's a way of being.
So DPS Only also asked about your sins against the quest characters of RuneScape, and what did they do to deserve your punishments?
Ooh, my sins against the quest characters. Ooh, that's a good way of putting it. I don't know. I mean, there are certain characters who have earned my ire just because of how difficult they were to deal with. So Elened is a good example.
Right.
Because, of course, spoilers, if you've not done Seren Quest, I'm going to spoil it now.
Oh, yeah, there will be some spoilers.
There'll be a lot of spoilers, but yeah. So in Light Within, you can make a choice of whether you sacrifice Elened or whether you you let her live her own life. And by sacrifice, I mean she's reabsorbed back into Seren. So she gets no afterlife. She gets none of that. Just to label that, I'm just labelling this for Lethal Intent, who's really guilty about his choice.
That was the next question I was going to ask you. Was Lethal Intent, isn't Elenid great? Just
need to reinforce what a terrible human being he is. But Elenid, because she was so tricky to deal with in code, I grew to hate her. I'm not going to lie. I grew to hate her. So every opportunity to sacrifice her in playtest, she went down. I think introducing kind of trouble and consequence and nastiness for characters helps to give you stuff to write with. I'm very much in sort of Joss Whedon, George R.R. Martin school of camp, which is that kind of characters need to suffer. It's the only way they need to pull themselves out of their own misery, and that's where you get the most drama from it. The players in my role-playing group will know this quite well, that I will make their characters suffer. And one of them has still never forgiven me for some of what I've done to their characters. This makes me really pleased. I just like making characters suffer, really. It's nothing they've really done.
It's part of your narrative.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question for you, from Tracy Treacle. What is your favourite S Club 7 track?
My favourite S Club 7 track?
Yes. These are important questions. Our listeners and players want to know the answer to these questions.
There's more than one?
Yes, there are more than one.
I know there's one called Reach, which is all about reaching for the stars and climbing mountains.
Isn't that a little bit optimistic for you?
Yeah, it is a bit. I mean, no, not necessarily, because there's a whole kind of megalomania thing. It's like always strive to possess more. You're reaching for the stars. You're climbing those mountains for power, following rainbows, apparently.
I know that one. I always had you down as more of a Steps man, actually.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Yeah. Especially their cover of ABBA's great hit, Tragedy.
I used to know the dance for that. I probably shouldn't say this on there, but I had one of my friends was really into it back in school. So, many years ago, shows how old Steps is. And so he taught it to all of us. I should point out I'm really bad at the dance because I have no coordination, but I did know the steps for a while.
I understand they're reforming as well.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I thought they'd reformed.
Have they already reformed?
I thought they reformed and no one cared, and so they stopped reforming. Much like there are other bands that reformed and no one cared, and they stopped reforming.
A slightly less serious question now.
Less serious, okay then.
Zen and Ray asks, can you describe your average day?
Obviously, I wake up and I hit snooze, and I wake up and I hit snooze. And then just to be sure, I wake up and then I hit snooze. By that point, I've gone, well, fine. Get out of bed then. So I, get up, do the whole getting ready for work thing. And then I slump into work, go to the cafeteria and kind of growl at them, and they give me toast. And they used to, there's now a thing on the cafeteria machine which just says, it's Mod Raven. They just press a button, it does my normal order by default. It's like, yep, I have a regular. And so after that, I'll get in, turn my computer on, boot up, check my emails, go through all of that, and then see how many meetings I have for the day, because I tend to have quite a few meetings these days.
Yeah.
Being a lead will do that.
Being a lead, what's that mean?
So it means that I have a team of developers who I'm there to support. I do things like, so I've got the admin tasks of things like making sure they can get the holidays booked off and confirmed, and if they call in sick, then I'm the person who logs down to the system and those kinds of things. Right. But I'm also there to try and help them develop and improve. So I'm looking at ways to get them to show themselves off a bit more, sort of find ways to improve themselves, to learn new things, to look into the areas that interest them. That's kind of my job. And also there too, when they have, issues or concerns or just need someone to rant at, that I'm there to be, able to listen to them. Kind of managey things, though I prefer not to use the term management because that implies telling them what to do, which isn't really what my job is.
Yeah.
By about that point, the other members of my team start to come in, so I normally shake my head at something that Model EM has said that's disturbing and wrong. Then I will do my universe update, as everyone knows on Twitter, where I will say something ludicrous and pretend it's real. I mean, it is real, honestly. I control the universe.
I burnt all my furniture because of you.
Yes, you burnt all your furniture because of me.
And your imps.
Well, I love my universe updates, partially because, well, one, they've become a thing and they help me to establish that to start my day, because I normally do them pretty much spot on, and sort of around 9 o'clock-ish is my, right, it's the day it started, do this, and then I go pretty much straight into work.
Yeah.
So I'll start coding if I'm coding things, going after the meetings or having team discussions or whatnot. But it's also fascinating with these universe updates because you see kind of what people respond to.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I'll go through and I'll pick a number of things to see what gets people interested. There's certain ones, if you make them sound too similar to RuneScape, everyone assumes it's about RuneScape. And this has led to people assuming updates are existing that just aren't true.
Yes.
Because my universe updates, I should point out, are never going to appear in the game. Some people assume they will.
Until we put one of them in game.
Did we? Oh, yeah, until we, yeah.
Until we do.
We haven't yet.
We haven't yet.
Although people are convinced that Terry is definitely in there. Which was the bug with the Ravensworn title many moons ago, and they were convinced the Raven was called Terry that screwed it all up for them. It wasn't. It was just called Raven. But the things that people latch onto. So the most responses I've ever had to Universe Update thing has been simply because I mentioned the music of Justin Bieber in a negative content. And that was the most interaction I've ever seen from people. I had people who'd left Jagex messaging me back going, no. I knew full well that one of them Modana put headphones on because my brother's working in the same place, and he was threatening to go and sing Bieber lyrics at her, so she was avoiding everyone as a result of that. It's interesting to see what people despise, and apparently Bieber is number one in their list of things they hate. Maybe followed by Twilight, but
Sparkly vampires.
Oh, well, indeed. So after I do that, then I'll start some work at about sort of 9:30ish. We have our team stand up because we follow a model called Scrum, which is a development process. And in the stand up is where you kind of go around the team, you say what you've worked on, what you're going to be working on.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty much I go in and I'll start coding until a meeting crops up, and I go to the meeting, come back and start coding until a meeting crops up, and then I'll go back and start coding until a meeting crops up, then I'll go back and start
you have
coding.
lunch?
I have lunch at some point, and then there's probably more meetings.
So what kind of things do you have meetings about then?
All manner of things. So we have various Scrum meetings, which are things like reviewing the work we've done, getting feedback on what we've done, getting feedback on work we're going to be doing, and getting brainstorm ideas. So things like, we've had Nomads, we're working on Nomads Elegy at the moment. This won't be a spoiler to anyone. And we've been having brainstorm meetings. We go, this bit here, how is it going to work?
Yeah.
So everyone throws out all their ideas, and we have some good ideas in amongst ludicrous weirdness. And we also have things like leads meetings, which is where we go through and we look at the team as a whole and any issues that need to be looked at, or any areas where we can sort of say, well, we can help out, we can give stuff to these guys so that they can show off how awesome they are. And then they're just
meetings with the people you lead for, I suppose. Yeah,
there's catch-ups with those where I'll sit down, I'll just chat, I'll find out how they're going, what they're doing, and how they're feeling about what they're doing, and if there's any way I can help. And just often just sort of listening, because it's quite cathartic.
Yeah.
When you've got something that's built up and it's causing you a bit of tension or stress, to just have someone that you can just kind of shout at, and that's kind of my role in that capacity. Not for everyone. I'm going to just say that now. Don't just shout at me. If you're one of my developers, then our catch-ups are where you can just sort of shout
sounding
at me,
board.
And I become a good sounding board. And it means that it has that wonderful advantage of the notes doesn't necessarily carry over to other areas. It means you can get that out. And if there's a way I can help it, then I can look at ways I can and help with any of these issues. But if it's just something you just want to get off your chest, then that also helps.
So your day is coding, meeting.
Pretty much at the moment. Coding. It depends on the days. Some days I have less meetings, which means I can.
And some days you do bits of video.
And some days I do bits of video, and some days I'm doing podcasts and live streams. Live streams are always funny, just reading the chat and strange things that people say in Twitch chats. Or yesterday, watching as Ripper demons and players stand just above my head. It's quite off-putting.
Okay, so R.S. Martin says, if you could be any car, what colour would you be?
Oh, I saw this, and
if you could be any car, what colour would you be?
Yeah, why do you need the car for the? I don't know. Apparently, the correct answer is purple with green polka dots. That was the follow-up thing, but I'm going to go with the boring black because Raven.
And because you're dressed all in black.
And because I'm dressed all in black.
Except your socks, which are blue.
No, well, one sock's blue and one sock's
red,
reddy pinkish.
Yeah. Are you trying to upset Mod Sailing?
Oh, is he?
He can't cope with odd socks.
Well, in that case, yes.
Okay. He can't cope with Christmas socks worn at not Christmas time either.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to wear one Christmas sock and one not.
Yeah, I deliberately wear one Muppet Christmas sock and one dinosaur sock some days, just to upset him.
Brilliant. I will have to follow suit. I'm not sure I own any Christmas socks, but I'll have to see.
Oh, we can arrange that. So Cyndaquil asks, how did you get introduced to the forces of darkness? It's an important question.
Well, the thing about darkness is it's always there. I mean, light gets the sort of all the attention and the fame because it's big and it's in your face and it's right there. But if you think about it, where the light isn't, there's darkness waiting there and there to prop you up. I mean, darkness just props up the light. That's what it's there for. So it's not so much that I was introduced to them, just as darkness is always there and always ready to talk. And I just listened. It's very straightforward, really.
Okay. Possibly the most important question you're going to be asked is from Mod Doctor.
Right.
Why is there never enough coffee?
Because Mod Doctor drinks all of the coffee. That's the answer.
So my question, as a supplementary question, is why are there never enough chocolate hobnobs? To which I believe the answer is the same.
Because Mod Doctor eats all of the chocolate hobnobs.
Adam Golding asks, if Zaros and Seren were made of sweets...
Oh, this question.
What sweets would they be?
I mean, really? What? I think we'd... Werther's original for Zaros. Got no idea why. And
creamy?
Yeah, let's go with that. And toffee?
Yeah, kind of toffee, solid, hard-boiled toffee thing. Seren strikes me as a fruit salad. Yeah. Or, the chopper pop things, according to Mod Kappa, is what Seren is. Again, we've no idea why. I was going to say Parma violets for Zaros, just because they're purple. Purple, but they're disgusting.
Maybe Zaros is a bit...
Oh,
maybe he smells
Zaros
a bit funny.
is Parma violets.
Yeah, there you go. He's Parma violets.
And in the same packs with Parma violets, you get those little shiny marbles.
The really sort of sour ones.
Yeah, but they're little marble crystal sweets.
Yeah, that's Seren. There you go.
There you go. They come in the same sweet.
Parma violets and weird sour crystal things. Read into that what you will, players. Read into that what you will.
Zaros is Parma violets. Mod Sarah is never going to let us live that down, you know.
Nope.
Armadin. So you know what this question's already about. Is how did ROP...
I wonder what that is, yeah.
How did ROP and a place name?
And Abina,
come about originally?
So, Rite of Passage, it came about a good long while ago when we had a bit of time and Mod Osborne had a core aims for Create a Quest, which was basically the entire core aims, and it got handed to me. And so I had the glorious moment of just going, I have so much freedom, so much choice. And so I pitched a variety of different ideas. I had one involving the slow agonizing torture of Xenia, which is part of a thing involving an artifact. And then I had, we had a discussion about the Aviancy at one point and about what the Aviancy homeworld was like. And so I think me and Mod Osborne were waxing lyrical about the idea of this sort of shattered world and everything. And then as we got talking, I got kind of into the idea, and I wanted to write something set on that world. And I wanted to write something involving the Aviancy because we haven't really used them much. They're just kind of monsters that you kill, and occasionally, there was a world event, but we don't know much about them, about their culture, about any of that. And so I started writing along with that. So Abina itself came up with a discussion between Mod Osborne, myself, and a couple of other mods who I can't remember who was there at the time. I'm sorry, it's been a long while. And the name just came about from, we were looking at the sort of naming of the Aviancy, and particularly Armadil. And there's a whole thing of Ars Almadel, which is a Seal of Solomon kind of thing. So we looked into those sort of things. So Abina came about from the idea of two things kind of squished together from that kind of story, well, not story, sort of area of Abaddon, which is either a place, a demon, or an angel, depending on what you're going for.
Yes, it is, yeah.
I was looking at it as the sort of hell-like place.
Yeah.
And then there was also Bina, which is the Sephiroth of kind of heaven and sort of happiness and joy and that kind of thing. And I just went, because you've got, I mean, they're very proud of Bina, they're very proud of their people, but it's also quite an unpleasant place to live. So I squished the two together and went, I have a name now. And so I went from there. So it was mostly just waxing lyrical with Mod Osborne is where it came about.
Chaos Lupus has asked while we've been in this podcast.
Oh, okay.
The up-to-date technology and everything.
Oh, wow.
If you were working on a werewolf quest, you'll be unsurprised to hear Chaos Lupus
okay.
was asking about a werewolf quest, and had complete creative control, where would you go with it?
Where would
So you're riffing now on the concept, live on air.
Wow. That's not at all putting me on the
werewolf
spot.
quest.
There are loads of different avenues that you could look at with werewolves. You could look at the idea of, do they feel cursed? And maybe you go along that route to see what's werewolf society like. What's it feel like to be a werewolf? How do you deal with it? Maybe you follow a character who doesn't want to be a werewolf, but they're, born a werewolf and that kind of thing. Or maybe you look at the whole kind of accepted it, but trying to sort of push out of the boundaries, because they're kind of a bit sort of pseudo under the vampire heel, so kind of breaking out from that, being your own thing. Maybe you've got sort of werewolf freedom fighters. Or you could just have the classic sort of nomad travel story of a group of werewolves going around an area, kind of like on a road trip, Hell's Angels kind of thing, and seeing that kind of exploring stuff as a new pack. Maybe they're all the sort of new kids and trying to sort of see which one gets to be the alpha, which one of them gets to be the beta, that kind of thing. So without sitting down and going through my normal process of spider diagramming everything, there are loads of ideas. I'm not sure anything I would pick on directly. It would be a fun thing to sit down, particularly with, as you said, complete creative freedom. It's like, I can ignore everything that everyone has ever said and just do my own thing. I'd have a lot of a play around with that.
Midday Breeze would like to know, Seren spell fixes, how are they coming along?
We've got some jobs in for, we're looking at the prayers first. So they're on our list of things. So being aware that we've still got to get these Slayer mobs out, and then we have other things to jump on, but we're going to try and fit in some time to do some tweaks. We've got some tweaks with some of the spells as well. So they're in our backlog. We will be looking at them. We'll be tweaking them in the future as well, just based on how they feel.
There's a supplementary question, which is how have the spells been received? Long after this release, looking back on it, how do you think they were received?
The problem is that we haven't quite found the perfect situation for them yet. So, without to sound weird, they were almost kind of made to allow for future content. Because they work on supporting other people and that kind of thing. So you reduce your DPS in order to buff your allies and things. And at the moment, it's almost more efficient still to just have everyone dealing the mass amount of deeps. That's how the game currently works. But that's because the game, all of this stuff was designed before this sort of functionality existed. So now going forward, we can start to create more things where these will be more useful.
So you're likely to see more content?
I think, I'd like to see them improved in future. I'd like to see more content that finds them useful in future. They've not been terribly received. They went down reasonably well. They could have gone down better, but then everything could always go down better.
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah.
Diapolo would like to know, when will we take over the world for you and fill it with despair?
I don't know.
So I think that person is waiting for the command.
They're waiting for the command. Well,
is the answer soon?
The plan isn't quite in place yet. We've still got a few remaining elements to go. There's a few technologies that we need to trickle out to the population first, so that they become aware. They think it's all organic and not forced on them. And then when that happens, then I'll give the command word.
I still get Italy, right?
Assuming you remain loyal, but of course. All my loyal minions will be justly rewarded.
Calm Enigma will be happy to hear that I get Italy, I'm sure. Honest. James asks, and I'm not sure you can like this question. There is a James who asks, Okay.
When did you go mad?
When did I go?
Let's be honest, that's the only way you can be so creatively evil.
I mean, madness is subjective, really, isn't it?
Well, that was my thought, yes.
I suppose in many ways I was born a little bit mad. I suppose we all go a little bit mad sometimes.
You're certainly born a little bit evil.
Yep, I'm not going to lie there.
And we're back to your twin again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, madness just... I wouldn't necessarily say I was mad. I'd say I was right. But, I don't know.
A more serious question. Mm-hmm. And one I think you're going to consider controversial.
Right.
How does it feel...
It's this one, isn't it?
to never be as handsome as your twin brother?
I already answered my twin brother this. Indeed, I will never be as handsome as him. Always vastly more handsome than him. And that's just, he has to live with that.
And therefore, his follow-up question is, how do you cope always sitting on a throne of lies?
I don't always sit on a throne of lies. Sometimes I perch. Sometimes I kind of,
lounge.
Lounge, that's the word.
That's the word you're looking for. He actually lounged across the sofa. It was quite a terrifying conceit to listeners. Be glad he's not on camera. Matt, the Ambler, asks, what is the soundtrack to your life when you're creating various evil things?
Ooh.
I quite like that question.
That is an interesting
What
one.
is your soundtrack?
It depends. I have a kind of staple of stuff I listen to. So I listen to the sort of Two Steps from Hell, kind of that sort of epic music, the sort of the background theme music. But I have a soft spot for one of the ones that I listen to when I'm trying to sort of do something creatively is I listen to a group called Enomine, which is, how do I describe it? Kind of weird, a lot of Latin and German with kind of beat and oddness. I don't quite know the description I should give it. I don't recommend them. They're weird. So I listen to them a lot. Or alternatively, I will listen to completely unrelated things and take the sort of thoughts that come from that. So, weird example, but I've listened to a lot of Disney songs and written some of my most sort of evil role-playing content based on Disney.
Okay.
Because Disney songs are simplistic and they tend to, well, not all simplistic, but they tend to evoke certain emotions. And that always gives me a kind of, okay, so people listen to this would be feeling this. So how can I cause this sort of feeling and then twist it? And so I do that kind of stuff.
Sean would like to ask, what is your favourite piece of content that players die to?
Ooh. I mean, mostly they die to boss fights and things. So I suppose I quite enjoyed the Queen Black Dragon when she came out.
Okay.
I wasn't directly involved, but I got to give some feedback and stuff, and I quite liked the way that was going. So I'll go with, well, at the moment it's going to be Ripper Demons, I'll be honest, with the high level Slayer mobs. But if we're going kind of all the way back, I'll go with Queen Black Dragon.
Okay. Vengeance 183 wants to know, how have the plans for Rites of Passage changed from when you first announced it?
The design has remained quite similar. We've not really touched it, but that's also because it's been shelved, so we've not been sort of directly looking at it for a while. There are some changes that I will want to make to the original design based on how the game has progressed. Certainly some little tweaks here and there, and some lore that we didn't have then I can put in now.
Okay.
Yeah, so officially the design hasn't changed at all because I've not really done much with it, but unofficially there will be quite a few changes.
Okay. Right, we're running out of time now.
Yep.
So we're going to get into quick fire questions.
Okay.
I want some of the questions might be long, but I want quick answers.
Okay.
Okay. Balastan asks, why save the Janka from being extinct?
So I think that's down to the, I'm trying to work out how to do this quickly. The choice, it's not so much choosing them to be extinct, it's which kind of risk you put. It's what sort of grey morality thing you choose.
Okay.
Of whether you just assume they can't be saved and send them off on his own, or whether you think that, or maybe Karapak can save him. It's not a guaranteed save is a huge point.
Okay. Armadin asks, another question, snuck that one in, didn't he? How did you get put in charge of updating the universe? Which fool was that?
I've always been in charge.
No one put me in charge. I just am.
Zodiac Hyde asks, what's your favourite blood type? I love that question.
AB negative.
AB negative.
It's got a slightly different flavour, a bit sweeter than others.
Okay. Mike asks, what is your favourite piece of RS content you haven't created yourself?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of the Goblin series. I like the progression of that and the characterization you got with Zanuck. I thought that was nicely done.
Okay. And the last question, and I'll let you take your time on this one because it's kind of important. Inquisitor N7 asks, what is your favourite chocolate bar?
I don't really like chocolate. If I had to pick, I'll go with a Whisper.
A Whisper.
Yeah, because it's kind of bubbly. But I'm not really a chocolate fan.
And on that bombshell, would you like to say goodbye in your appropriately evil overlord way, Raven?
Goodbye.
Bye.